My
Bright suns, travelers.
hello there,
How is
everyone.
everybody today?
Doing well.
I am too. I'm too. Having a good day, and been looking forward to discussing this episode of The
Oh yeah.
Mandalorian. We're on episode 4, The Foundling, and I have talked to a lot of people who have who are not caught up, to
Hmm.
this episode, or they haven't started watching it at all.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who don't watch it until all of the episodes have dropped, and then
Yeah.
they basically binge watch it. So we're probably not, as far behind with some people, as we think.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna again take a look at The Foundling. Is the title of season 3, episode 4, chapter 20. Of course, the rating is TV 14 on all of these. This one particular episode, interestingly enough, was directed by Carl Weathers.
Yep.
Um, Rick Famuyiwa has done most of them up to now, but is this Carl Weathers' first time in the director's chair?
I
I don't
didn't.
think
I
it is.
didn't think so. Um.
Yeah, I don't
Now
think it
I'd
is.
have to go
I
back through
think
our notes to check, but
Mhm.
no.
I don't think it is. I think he's
Yeah.
directed, one before, but
Yeah.
it's good to it's good to see that this particular episode aired on March the 15th, 2023. It has an official runtime of 32 minutes, but it's actually by the time you cut out time for
Yeah.
the end
The
credits.
credits and recap at the beginning.
Yeah, it's actually shorter than that, but it's action packed, and it's a
Hmm.
really I really enjoyed this episode, and so um,
Me
yeah,
too.
it's welcome in to everybody in the chat, and if you're watching on the replay, of course, we always appreciate our team replay because there's always room
Absolutely.
for one more.
Yeah. Welcome in, Kevin. Welcome
So
in, Mark. Hello there. Thanks for being
hey
here.
guys. Thanks for popping in. We appreciate it. And if you're new to our channel, welcome. You can check out our other Mandomania and Fett Fever, Book of Boba Fett playlists on our channel. If you want to go back and watch some of those, it's some of our best work, if I do say so myself. So caution, there are spoilers ahead. There are spoilers ahead, but welcome in, Kevin Theme Park Adventure. And yeah, Bright Suns. Bright Suns Wonderfuls. It's good to see y'all. Okay, so this one, shall I do the recap?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll do the recap. The recap of episode 3, which was called The Convert. Moments after bo-katan rescues Mando from the pool of living waters, he comes to, and she asks him if he saw anything alive in the water,
Hmm.
and he says no. She drops it. She doesn't pursue it with him, but she realizes that she did see a living, breathing mythosaur while they were underneath the water. So, that's going to really play into her finding her way back, to the way, if you will. She's been so disillusioned. So that's really going to be key to her regaining her faith. Mando says that he's redeemed, and she agrees, and she says, "I witnessed it. I know that you bathed in living waters." Mando fills a vial with water before they leave, as proof for the armor.
Hmm.
But of course, in Bo-Katan's ship, they fly towards Kalevala, where her castle is. They're attacked by Imperial fighters, and the Imperial fighters destroy her castle, which leaves her, with more tragedy. But they do escape, and they head towards the Mandalorian covert. And Mando says, they'll be safe there.
Yeah.
Cut to Coruscant, where Dr. Pershing, the clone engineer who was being forced to experiment on Grogu, if y'all remember him, has swapped sides, and he's joined the New Republic's amnesty program. He unfortunately gets duped by Eli Kane, who you'll remember is Moff Gideon's minion,
Hmm.
real bad guy who is also there in the program, but we immediately suspicious of her. Obviously, she tricks Pershing into trying to resume his cloning research. Saying, "Oh, it's the Republic doesn't know it, but they need you. They need you to do this." He falls for it because he really does want to do the right thing. But she betrays him to the New Republic, and then in order to rehabilitate him, the New Republic it's actually a mind flayer on him, but they use it on a really low setting, and it's supposed to be for rehabilitation. But Kane is lurking, in the wings, and after the New Republic attendant leaves the room, she cranks the machine to full power and basically fries Pershing's brain. So we know that we know that something's going on, as has been suggested in this, and so they're trying to do away with Dr. Pershing, which they do successfully because they don't want his research to fall into the hands of the New Republic. Cut back to the covert. Mando proves that he has been redeemed. The armor welcomes him back into his Mandalorian again, and also says that bo-katan by creed is also redeemed, since she has not removed her helmet and she bathed in the living waters. She is welcomed into their covert, which really touches her, I think, because she needs that welcome. She's had so much loss, and I think it kind of surprises her. But she's welcomed back into the covert, and that is a synopsis of a little recap of episode 3.
Yeah.
That's a Reader's Digest condensed version, if anybody remembers those, of episode 3. You want to take the opening scene?
So yes, we cut to an opening scene. They're all, there's kind of like a cave, for their covert kind of like a cave, and so they're all outside, kind of on this beach, doing all sorts of weapons training. Some are firing blasters, some are firing rockets. Others are doing hand-to-hand combat, with knives or, with spears or, even, hand-to-hand. Welcome in, Derpy Entertainment. Thanks for being here.
Derpy.
Let's see here.
Good.
And so everybody's kind of out sharpening their skills. And, it's part of their culture. I mean, they're, essentially warrior culture. And so, they're tightening up their skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
as Mando says, weapons are part of their religion.
And so Grogu's overplaying on the beach, and it's kind of funny. There are these rocks that are sticking up out of the sand, and it's kind of, they're, he's just kind of playing with them, and, they're almost kind of like little hermit crabs, basically.
Yeah. I think that's what.
And so, anyway, Mando comes to get him. Basically, playtime's over, and he takes him to train with the other Foundlings. Mando says, if he is ever to rise from Foundling to an apprentice, he must learn. And so, Mando kind of, trial by fire, if you will. Brings Grogu over. There's a young Foundling, the one that we had seen that was taking up the creed before it was interrupted by the giant alligator monster. A few episodes back. He's doing hand-to-hand combat, kind of slams one of the other Foundlings, and so he's is seemingly establishing his dominance, amongst the Foundlings, if you will. And so, Mando brings him over and basically says, he
challenges.
Yeah, throws down the gauntlet. Says Grogu, he wants Grogu to challenge this Foundling. And the judge, says, Mando's too small. But Mando says, or says that Grogu is too small, and Mando says, I give my permission as ward. And and then, it's kind of funny because the the Foundling is given the choice on, okay, the challenge has been issued. And so they basically said, Mando even says, let the challenged decide. So that the Foundling gets to pick the form of combat, and he picks darts. And that's basically the Mandalorians are, able to fire the darts from their gauntlets. We've seen Mando use the whistling bird before. And so anyway, the boy, very cool. Very cool, Derpy. The boy, the Foundling picks darts, and questions Grogu's lack of a helmet. And Mando says that he's too young to speak the creed, so he's too young also to wear a helmet. And then the Foundling speaks up and says that he's too young to fight. And Mando says, "One does not speak unless he knows. Is that not the creed?" And the boy, kind of chirps back and says, "Well, I know." And Mando says, "Perhaps this lesson is for you then." And Grogu his power is very unassuming. He's just a little green guy, basically in what amounts to be a potato sack, essentially. And so, he has no idea, this Foundling is about to get a rude awakening. He has no idea what kind of power Grogu can wield. And Mom's got the notes here.
Grogu has been, now, even though he was in training with Luke for 2 years, he is still hiding his abilities, basically. He has not completely begun, at least while he's with the covert, to display his talents, if you will. So and Mando knows, goodness gracious, what Mando has seen him do, but Grogu needs to learn with the Foundlings. He needs to learn, instead of the ways of the Force, he needs to learn the way of the Mandalorians. So he puts him in, and so here we go.
You included that quote from Yoda in there, Mom.
Yeah. Well, when the guy said he's too small, the judge says the Grogu is too small. I immediately thought of the quote from Yoda, "Judge me by my size, do you?" Which is a rhetorical question, of course. And that's the first thing that came into my mind. You ought not judge this Foundling by his size.
So, they hand out the gauntlets. Hey, welcome in. Katie Mack.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And moving
for hopping
in.
in.
Nick. Thank you for popping in, y'all. We appreciate you. Thank you for materializing. All right, Katie. We appreciate you.
Thanks for being here. So they're both kind of putting on these little gauntlets with the darts in them. It's kind of almost like a little game of paintball, essentially. Is what it amounts to. And bo-katan puts the gauntlet on Grogu's tiny little arm, and she says, "Don't worry, my dad was the same way. He's just proud of you." And she says, "You take it easy on him, kid." And
it's so sweet what she says to him, because Grogu's kind of he doesn't know what's going on. So it's really sweet. I think I love what she says to him here.
It's funny because Mando real quickly tells him 8 episodes, Nick. 8 episodes in each season. But anyway. It's funny because Mando tells him just real quick, you squeeze your wrist a little bit, fire the darts. And she says, bo-katan's he doesn't know how to, fire the darts. And so it's pretty funny. But, the judge is there.
He'll be fine.
Yeah. And so, they've got the judge there to oversee the game and the challenge.
Gone from playing with hermit crabs to paintball combat with another Foundling. It's okay. And
so they fight. They each gauntlet is loaded with 3 paint darts. There's 1 round and the highest score wins. And so the Foundling, which again, we just saw him, take care of one of the other Foundlings,
That's true.
in,
So he's
in the challenge.
kind of arrogant, I think. He's kind of cocky. He may
And
be the
so,
alpha Foundling.
yeah. And so, anyway, the Foundling fires a dart first. The judge says point. He hits Grogu, and Grogu's like, "What?" He's like he doesn't know that's. Yeah, he's like, I didn't even know what was going on here. He kind of looks at Mando, and Mando just kind of reassures him, and then he hits him. The boy hits Grogu again, and it's 2 points. 2 points for the Foundling, no points for Grogu, and Mando tells him, "I've seen what you can do. It's okay. Show them." And so he gives him full clearance to utilize his powers. And so we're in round 3, and Grogu does a backflip. The boy goes, to basically just shoot him again, with the dart. He's got
which would have given him the round because he's already hit him with 2, 2 shots. So and
so he goes to fire basically the little paintball out of the paintball dart out of the gauntlet, and Grogu backflips over him. Lands behind him, and the backflips.
The kid.
Backflips over him yet again to his front, and then tags him with 3 shots there.
Yeah,
and it's just Grogu, just 2-2-2, and Grogu wins the challenge.
Piece of cake.
And so it's funny because as this encounter wraps up, Paz Vizsla has been watching in the background, and he reiterates what Mando said. He said, "One does not speak, and unless one knows." Kind of saying, he got you. And so, so anyway, we find out later in this episode, the big reveal, later in the episode, is that this is actually Paz Vizsla's son, which brings into question who, is that, by blood, or is that, by foundling, by adoption? Does Paz Vizsla have a Mandalorian wife somewhere? It brought up other questions for me, but the boy is kind of dejected. He kind of walks off to the side after losing the challenge to Grogu, and suddenly this giant, it's kind of a pterodactyl chicken, featherless chicken. It's called a raptor, but this giant pterodactyl thing flies in, scoops the boy up, and flies away. And the Mandalorians pursue. They say, "Oh, we got to chase it." And so they, several Mandalorians all, chase after it with the jetpack, with their jetpacks, and they're chasing it. It's a cool kind of canyon chase scene as they're pursuing the raptor. And then somebody's thinking ahead here, as their jetpacks are running out of fuel, and you think, "Oh man, hope is lost." Boom. Bo-Katan's ship flies past them all, and she continues pursuit of the raptor.
So and I kind of laughed. I kind of laughed because I love the way the directors and the writers, how Favreau and Filoni, they don't pander to women. They just allow the strong women in the Mandalorian to be who they are.
Yeah.
They don't pander, and try to force in scenes where, we're going to make this a strong women's scene. It doesn't feel that way at all. It just, they just are very confident in their characters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they're male or female.
Yeah.
And in this scene, it was like, yes.
Yeah.
The men are standing, the men are, standing without any gas in their jetpacks, basically. And Bo-Katan is in her ship pursuing, pursuing. And Bo-Katan is a leader.
Yeah.
She just is, guys. She doesn't wield the Darksaber any longer. And we're going to learn more about that in future episodes about the history of that. and we do need to cover some of her history. I'll try to get something like that together if we have time to do it next week. But she is a leader. And so it's not surprising that she is a couple of steps ahead of the guys. She knows that they have to get this kid back. She doesn't question, just like when she went to rescue Din Djarin, she immediately, goes into action to do what needs to be done. And I love that. I love that.
Hey, welcome in, Jonathan. Thanks for being here. So back at the covert beach, bo-katan, lands her ship, says she knows where the nest is. She pursued at a high, altitude. And so they essentially decide to muster up a hunting party and put together a plan for the rescue. She says that she'll fly in and land, and then the rest will go in on foot. That way they're not detected by the raptor. They're therefore endangering the child. Also too, as the child was scooped up, Mando was going to try to, break out a blaster and fire at the raptor as it flew away with the child. But Paz Vizsla stops him and says, we don't want to hit the child.
You might hit him. Yeah. Which, at that time I thought, well, Mando's a pretty good shot. He might have. I don't think that Mando would have pulled out his blaster unless he was confident he could take the shot without hitting the child. Was my thought on that. But anyway, Paz Vizsla stops him. So
and so they essentially put together a hunting party. And so the nest is on a rise that is no higher than the hills of how'd you pronounce it here?
Let's see, where the hills of Kiramoru, where she trained in basics. So we get another, name of hills there on her home moon of, and she says they say, well, it's really high, and she says, I can do it. The nest is on a rise that's no higher than the hills of Kiramoru, where she trained in basics. So she's very, it's like, no, we can't hit that, in Star Wars, and Luke says, I used to bullseye womp rats, back home, and they're no bigger than 2 meters, talking about. So basically it's the same kind of line. They say, it can't be done. They'll kill the boy. It'll kill the boy. Yeah. And bo-katan says, can of corn, I got this. Yeah. No worries. I can do it.
And the armorer, says that she'll rig the packs with lariats for the climb, as they have to scale this peak. If they're gonna
just a quick. Let me interrupt you for just a second. Just a quick shout out to Emily Swallow, who plays the armorer. I have loved her in this role from the get-go. I think she plays this role so well. She is.
Thanks for being here, Nick. Have a good day.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. Yeah. But thanks for popping in. We do appreciate it, Nick. Give us a like before you leave. Hit that like button, y'all. But yeah, I love Emily Swallow. I love her costuming. I saw during the Star Wars celebration in England that she actually put on the armor costume and walked out to greet the fans, with them not knowing, of course, that she was actually Emily Swallow. And that was pretty cool. Some of the video from that. But anyway, shout out to Emily Swallow and her portrayal of the armor. I think she's brilliant at it.
Agreed, 100%. So they're to take the Shriek-Hawk training team with them. And so they kind of assemble a war party. They've got
interesting
bo-katan.
They're Shriek-Hawk. I love that. Yeah,
they've got bo-katan, they got Mando, they got Paz Vizsla, and some other Mandalorians.
The Shriek-Hawk training team.
And so they go to load up at bo-katan's ship, and they leave Grogu. And he's kind of sad about it.
Yeah.
The armorer says, "Come, Grogu. Yeah, you're too young to join them." And Grogu coo's kind of unhappy, and the
Yeah.
armorer says, "All in good time." And so he follows her into the
So
Ford
he's not big
cave.
enough to fight with the big dogs, so he has to
Yeah.
stay on the porch. And I thought about, and my heart goes out to my sister Susan will appreciate this, and probably my sister Joy too, because Susan did the same thing to her when I was the baby of the family. And so when Susan, was going out, on a date, or she was going, somewhere, a movie or whatever, I got left behind, because I was too young to go. And so I got left on the porch, and she would pull off, and I would be standing there just, mother would say, honey, it's okay. It's, you'll get to go. You'll be enough to go. So sometimes with Grogu having to stay behind. And Susan, I know you and John took me a lot with you when you could. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I know what it feels like to be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's typically the younger sibling treatment. Same way with Adam. There are times I'd let him go with me to do something, and times
and Joy,
I just wanted
Joy, our eldest sister, did the same to Susan. So we all kind of knew, yeah. So you're just not old enough, to do things. You have to stay at home.
Mm-hmm. So Grogu follows the armor back into the cave. And it's very, I really enjoy the forge scenes, for whatever reason. It's just, it's very satisfying as they, kind of craft the best car, into whatever, that they shape the steel into whatever,
and
they're
this
trying to
is
build.
particularly good. I love this scene, guys. I can't get enough. Like I said, I love Emily Swallow, and Emily's character, the armor, always is not only working on something really cool, some kind of, Beskar armor or something for the Mandalorians, but she generally gives us, tidbits and what have you of Mandalorian lore and culture, which is also really cool to learn more from her.
It is.
So this is a fantastic scene. Love it.
So she goes to work, explains to Grogu, this is the forge, it is the heart of Mandalorian culture. Just as we shape the steel, we shape ourselves. We all begin as raw ore, and we refine ourselves through trial and adversity. The forge can reveal weaknesses. And so, she's going to work. There's a lot of, there's a lot of heat, obviously, to heat the Beskar up, a lot of banging, as they're shaping the steel into, and what she's, into the armor that she's building, and so it stirs, musters up yet another Order 66 flashback for Grogu. And I told Mom before the stream started, I feel like this is like some sort of sick running joke at Lucasfilm. It's like, all right, how can we expose the fans to Order 66 yet again? Man,
let's drag their hearts through this one more time.
So anyway, yes, exactly. And this is a pivotal flashback as we finally get to see how Grogu escaped Order 66 at the Jedi Temple in Coruscant.
And they slid this in there. I'd hoped that we would find out when we realized, in prior episodes that he had been at the Jedi Temple during Order 66. We thought, okay, how did he get away? We're about to find out, y'all.
This giant steel press harkens back. Some sick people over there in production, huh? Yes, Steve. And so anyway, this big press, the sound of the clanging metal, steel, reminds Grogu of the 501st breaching the doors at the Jedi Temple, and so you cut to Grogu being there, surrounded by several Jedi, defending Grogu, defending this youngling, and they'd say, get him to Kelleran, so they've stated their intent, and so they several Jedi,
And I wonder how many, hardcore fans who've taken those deep dives
Uh-huh.
recognize the name Kelleran
Yeah.
when they said it.
And so,
Love this.
anyway, several Jedi fall, in an attempt to get Grogu out of the temple, and they get him into this elevator. One of them, the female Jedi even, is basically, blaster fired into, she falls into the elevator with Grogu,
Mhm.
and you kind of see the light going as he's going up higher in the elevator, and the elevator doors open, and none other than Kelleran Beck, which is
Yes.
the same actor
Jedi Knight. Yes.
that portrayed Jar Jar Binks in the prequels.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
so Kelleran,
His name
steps
is
in.
Ahmed Best.
Yeah,
Kelleran Beck is portrayed by Ahmed Best.
yeah, and so it's great to see him play another role, especially one that's pivotal to this series.
Mhm.
He got,
A hero
yeah,
role.
yeah.
Yeah. And he does it very well, I might add.
And
Yeah.
so, it's interesting too, a lot of people may not, that this could have gone over a lot of people's heads. They may have not have had any clue of his
That's true.
association to Jar Jar at all.
That's true.
Because he's
Jar
not a
Jar
character.
Binks.
He's not a character that most people have seen on screen before. But this character, has been introduced previously in a show called Jedi Temple Challenge.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so he, his role, with that, is, it says here, as described on Wikipedia for Kelleran Beck,
Mhm.
it says Kelleran Beck was a Jedi Master who supervised Padawans as they went through their Jedi trials. He
Mhm.
he was assisted by the protocol droid 83 and the astromech droid LXR5. Beck had served aboard the starship Athelia. The Jedi Master had fond memories of his Jedi trials and earned the nickname the Sabered Hand during his time as a Padawan. So
Interesting.
the doors open and there's Ahmed Best, and this character Kelleran Beck, and so I saw an interview from Star Wars Celebration, and they asked the person doing the interview asked Dave Filoni and John Favreau,
Mhm.
how'd y'all come to this decision? How'd y'all pick him? And so basically they let's see, yeah, basically John Favreau said, I'm always talking to Dave to ask who's in play,
Yeah. Yeah.
who's alive, who can we
Don't you love
use
that?
in the
Don't you love that?
series.
Because there are not very many Jedi left, as
Mhm.
Ahsoka said.
And so with his role as being a Jedi Master who's completely focused, his total focus is on supervising Padawans. It makes total sense for him to have been the one that rescued
It
Grogu.
absolutely does.
So
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
he read, he said everything's going to be all right, kid, pretty much. And
Yeah.
he's still, they're not out of the clear though. They're at the top of the Jedi Temple, and they're being pursued by members of the 501st Legion.
Yes.
And you can tell based on their armor, the 501st Legion, which also was given the name Vader's Fist. These are not run of the mill stormtroopers. These are not run of the mill clone troopers. This Legion was the elite. This was an elite
Yeah.
group
Yes.
of clone
The clone
troopers.
Yeah.
And so for Kelleran Beck to be able to best, and I say that, no pun intended, for him to be
Right.
able to best, to defeat all of these clones is no small accomplishment. It's no
Nice
no
pun
small
there, by the
feat.
way.
And so, anyway, I thought that was super cool, to see the
Yeah.
501st there.
Yeah.
There's a,
Yeah.
they get to his kind of speeder, You know, and it's kind of really funny. He's got like a sidecar for Grogu
Yeah.
on his speeder. So, you know,
Yeah.
he defeats several clone troopers from the 501st. They get on the bike, they speed through Coruscant. You know, it's a big chase scene. And one thing that I love, and I don't know why, I think it's just the shape of the ship. But
Yeah.
since the prequels, I have loved the LAAT gunship. I just think
Yes.
it's a really cool transport ship.
Sleek looking. Yeah, they
And
are.
so
They are.
I just think they're really neat. So it was, you know, I loved seeing the LAAT, the low altitude assault transport gunship pursue Keller and Grogu, and so they're, you know, chasing them through Coruscant, and so they're making their way through. Kelleran, you know, I think the engine takes a little bit of fire, and Kelleran, you know, looks to try to shake the gunship, and so he cuts through basically what amounts to, essentially it ends up being like a subway, and there's this train that's coming toward them, and Kelleran is able to, on this speeder, cut through. And basically he cuts through into like a subway, you know, like this you know, interesting looking stop for this train, and so he drives up the stairs and makes his way out into kind of the central area of Coruscant. It's just very interesting, you know, kind of get to see, you know, another quick shot of that rock that we saw in the previous episode that Ilya Kane ends up tricking Dr. Pershing into touching the rock and getting in trouble. But so it's, you know, interesting to see him fly that. Then he makes his way all the way over to let's see, why can't I ever remember how to spell his name? Turles. Yeah, there you go. Turles, yeah, Turles wants out. And so he, you know, he's able to shake the gunship. Yes, the peak of. There you go. Thank you, Mark, for the assist there. I figured Mom would probably have it.
Pick if you
But
made. Yeah, I did.
yeah,
I did. But I was taking
and
care of the
so
cat, y'all. Sorry.
anyway, you know, he flies through all that, gets over to, you know, basically says it's going to be a bumpy landing, and they essentially, you know, crash land into this little platform that's got a Naboo, looks like a Royal Naboo ship on it, and you know, this is a big deal. You know, it's a quick scene.
It is. It
But
is a big deal.
you know, Kelleran, you know, gets up, kind of brushes himself off real quick, and then goes to check on Grogu. Grogu's fine. And then they, you know, they're greeted by these Naboo, Royal Naboo guards. And
Yeah.
this, you know, this is a big deal. You know, it's a quick scene, but it shows you how loyal these Naboo guard were to the. Let's see. Agreed, Jonathan. It shows you
I've
how
made that comment to William before.
It shows you how loyal the Naboo guard were to the Jedi, you know, and quite frankly, I think this extends out from Qui-Gon's sacrifice. You know, I think, you know, I think they're willing to commit this act of treason because they, you know, they've seen firsthand, you know, I mean, Naboo would have been overtaken, you know, otherwise. They've seen firsthand, you know, the Jedi at work, you know, and protecting their people and their planet.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. It's a quick scene, but a lot happens. We get to see, you know, we get to see Kelleran Beck is, man, I love that he just cutting and slashing, and he's just tough. He is, I'm assuming he is a master Jedi at this point. If he's a you know, trainer of younglings, then he is a Jedi master. But he is a force to be reckoned with, and I love the command that he takes in this. This scene is really good, and I love that they didn't forget to include the scene with the Royal Naboo Guard and that Naboo ship to let us know that they helped him get away. They were on the assist. When he lands, when Kelleran and Grogu land, they say, "Where are the others?" The guard runs up and says, "Where are the others?" And Kelleran says, "There are no others." In other words, nobody else made it out with them, which is another kind of knife to your heart. Yeah, it's a great scene.
And so, they're able to escape and get out of there, and I mean, you have to assume the Naboo guard were probably all slaughtered, by by these troopers, because they wouldn't have had any way to get out of there, that are taken captive, either one. But let's see here. Sorry, getting back to the notes here. So, Grogu has this flashback, as the metal's clanging, the armor's forging something. And so we figure out that she is forging his next piece of armor. And she mentions that, it's tradition. It's practice, for them to donate a portion of their, a portion of what they make
Beskar
from
pieces.
Their Beskar to Foundlings, as we've seen Mando do previously.
That's true.
And
saw him do that at the beginning of the series when he's paid by the client in Beskar. Yeah.
And so the armorer says the Mandalorian still shall keep you safe as you grow stronger. She presents him with a rondel, which I thought was interesting, a chest plate with the Mudhorn signet on it.
Yeah. Listen, I love that it has the Mudhorn on it, because we know that, she could have done the Mythosaur, which belongs to all Mandalorians and would have been entirely appropriate. But she chooses, because he and Grogu are a clan of two, she chooses to do his adoptive father's signet, which is the Mudhorn. And I love that it's this round, it's like a, chest armor, essentially. And this is his second piece, the first being the mithril looking, well, what would you call it?
Chainmail, essentially a chainmail shirt. Welcome in, Dean. Thanks for being here.
Protect him. So, and I love this. I think this is so cool. Anything so far, guys, anything that the armorer does is cool.
For sure.
I mean, insert thing, activity here. If the armorer's doing it, it's cool. Hey, Dean, thanks for.
So it's really neat. I expected this signet to, or this rondel. I expected this chest plate to kind of come into play a little bit more in the series after having seen, future episodes.
That's true.
But it's just really neat.
At least maybe see something bounce off of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was expecting.
Right.
I was, I had kind of envisioned in my mind that he, would end up taking, essentially some blaster fire off of the rondel. And people kind of be like, kind of a shocking moment and be like, oh, he's fine. He's got the planting seeds for future seasons.
Right.
And so another thing too,
I love that. Yeah.
Another thing too that I wanted to mention, it's been, we're halfway through season 3, and Grogu's still wearing the equivalent of a potato sack. And I thought, here's my thought. Even with Luke, he's still wearing this little outfit. I know he's a baby.
You're training.
And maybe they just hadn't decided what they want to put him in next.
Wearing the cloak.
Yeah. But my thought process was, if nothing else, you could put him in another outfit. Even just to sell toys.
That's true.
To make more Funko Pops or to make more action figures. And so I would have figured, even if just from a merchandising standpoint, they would have put him in another outfit by now, but they haven't. So
Yeah.
anyway,
you said you felt like, with his training with Luke that he should have, gotten maybe some Nike athletic wear or something.
I don't know, something. I mean, man. But anyway, he's got to be a couple hundred years old before he gets proper clothes. That's a good one.
Well, Mark is questioning your mention that you want Grogu to take some
I
blaster
didn't
fire.
I didn't want Grogu to take blaster fire, but I would have thought something would have banked off of it. There would have been some reminder of, hey, he's got this. He's got this armor protecting him. And I would have kind of envisioned it as, if we were to cut through
like a ricochet.
Like some sort of, I don't know. So anyway, I don't necessarily want that per se.
A new t-shirt, exactly.
But yeah. But hold on, let's see here. I've talked a whole lot. Let me kick it over to you here real quick.
Imagine the merchandising possibilities for a new outfit. Oh my God. They hadn't thought of that yet. At some point they'll think of that. This isn't Transformers changing the show just for the sake of selling merch. We don't kill off Optimus Prime in a movie just to sell a new toy. Okay, Jonathan. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Mission for next episode. Now that's a good suggestion. What should Grogu wear? What should he wear, William? What should his next? That is
a good question. I would have felt like maybe he would have, when he was with Luke. I mean, Yoda wore tiny Jedi robes, so I would have envisioned something like that. But anyway, I don't know.
Oh my goodness!
Give me just a second.
Maybe we can suggest. Apparel, clothing options. Wardrobe for Grogu in season 4. They're definitely gonna have to do that. It is still Disney. That's right. Oh gosh, yeah. That is funny. Liam, are you out for a second? Okay. To be fair, Grogu was a moneymaker from the start. Oh, no kidding. And Sue William is right. If you if they did change his way, well, everybody'd have to go out and buy the baby Grogu with the new outfit on, right? I mean, it would be a whole new ball game on that. That is so funny. And maybe for season 4, they'll have Grogu in something new. Maybe they will. So we'll have to figure out what we want Grogu to wear. Maybe we can suggest that wardrobe change, right, for him. So anyway, this is a really cool scene, guys, with this rondelle that she forges for him from the donated Beskar scraps of the Mandalorians. It's really cool, and I totally love that it has Mando's signet on it. So I'm gonna hit up Build-A-Bear and find.
That's funny. That's what I also thought about, Mark.
Right, like a little avatar, like a Bitmoji. Choose your.
So speaking of Build-A-Bear, I got to tell a quick story. Our friends Garrett and Casey, their girls have a little Grogu plush from Build-A-Bear, and you get to pick. If you've ever done Build-A-Bear, you get to pick what voice you want to put into. You could have it say something. There are little phrases like there's a little button you could put in there and it talks. To have it talk. And so they have this Grogu plush from Build-A-Bear. And it's so funny because one of their girls is a really big fan of Nightmare Before Christmas. And so apparently one of the things you can pick is, the song, this is Halloween, this is Halloween. And so they have a Grogu plush.
Little voice box.
The little voice box sings "This is Halloween." And so the other girl calls Grogu Halloween.
Oh, really? How
Yes,
sweet.
and so anyway, she refers to Grogu, which it's funny. We watched a couple episodes over here with them. She when she saw him on TV, she said Halloween.
Ah,
So
that's interesting.
pretty
So
funny.
that's cute.
But
This is Halloween.
yeah. So anyway, there's
That's
a quick
that's cute.
quick Build-A-Bear side story.
There
Uh,
you go. There you
but
go.
anyway, back to the show. Um, let's see. The Mandalorians
Oh,
land. They proceed on foot as planned, not to be heard by the Raptor. They make camp and they plan to climb at first light. Bo-Katan asked Mando, they sit down around the fire. They've established camp. It's nighttime.
yeah.
They're kind of beneath the cliff. And Bo-Katan asks, how do you eat with other people around? And
Mhm.
Mando says, you
Mhm.
don't.
Right.
You kind of go off to
Yeah.
find a private place where you can remove your helmet. And so, there's a Mandalorian that disperses the food to each of them.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then Bo-Katan goes to walk off, and Paz Vizsla says, no, you stay. You're the leader of the war party. You have the honor
Mhm.
of staying by the fire. This is the way.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's
Again, now this is huge, guys.
mhm,
This is huge to her
yeah,
because remember that her covert, if you will, her
hmm
people kind of left her once she lost the Darksaber, and they're like out somewhere in the universe, plundering and pillaging as um, bounty hunters.
yeah,
So, now Mando's covert has accepted her, so she's
hmm
lost her people, her sect of Mandalorians, if you will. And she's lost her home, she's lost her throne, she's lost the Darksaber. So, but she's being pulled in and welcomed and given
yeah,
a position of leadership among this covert.
yeah, yeah.
So it's really this is the way. This is the way. There you go, Mark. Get them going there. But yeah, it's like at a concert. Start clapping. This is the way. Everybody, absolutely. But yeah, so all of these things I think are really having a profound impact on
Yeah.
Bo-Katan. And Tina had mentioned earlier. Tina DCS had mentioned that she's kind of worried that she might fall off the wagon again.
Yeah.
Well, I had hoped that she would be pulled back in. From
Yeah.
watching the Clone Wars. And her
And
her
Rebels.
Rebels, her rivalry with her sister,
Yeah.
and the fact that she was a member of Death Watch and opposed her sister's her sister's more peaceful
Yeah.
approach, a pacifist approach to
Yeah.
ruling Mandalore. Anyway,
hmm
I chased that womp rat,
Yeah.
and we'll come back to the script now. But anyway, Bo-Katan, William knows that Bo-Katan is a very fascinating character to me. She really
hmm
has captured my fascination. Katie Sackhoff voiced her in the animated features, and
hmm
she, of course, got to play her now
Yeah.
quite capably. And guys, if you follow Katie Sackhoff on Instagram, she has a fantastic Instagram
mm
page. Check it out. Follow her. She puts some neat behind the scenes stuff. She lets us know when she's going to makeup. She's
mm
like with her coffee mug in the morning and no makeup on, and I'm headed to the makeup chair. It's just cool stuff. I
Yeah.
love. She's very real, and she adores playing Bo-Katan and the whole Star Wars,
Uh-huh.
universe. So anyway, I said all that to say that I really love the way they have developed her character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a neat picture that floats around the internet of her taking her bringing her dad onto the bridge from the
Yeah.
season 2 episode. Him being the main the picture kind of says, you know, he's a giant Star Wars fan. You know, could you imagine your girl getting to grow up and, you know, play a pivotal character in the series? Welcome in, John. Surf Bum, thanks for being here.
John, good to see you. Thanks for
But
being
anyway,
here. Surf's up.
yeah,
Surf's up.
It's just a lot of fun whenever these actors really love their character. It's the same way with Ming-Na Wen and Fennec Shan. She loves that character.
Same thing. Okay, question. Dean raised his hand.
Question says, do Mandalorians ever sneeze? Are they allowed to remove their helmet? If not, how do they sneeze and it's not going all over the inside of the helmet? Honestly wondering. I'm going to guess you just have to address that when you can find a little private time.
Mandalorian questions and issues sounds like a question that my sister Susan would ask. So this is a Dr. Cordell question, I think, but I'm thinking they have to step away and deal with that, Dean. Yeah. So without getting too graphic, we can assume that they step away and handle that.
Let's see here. They all disperse. The Mandalorians all disperse to go eat. Bo-Katan stays by the fire. She kind of looks around to make sure everybody's gone, and then, prepares to sit down and eat. The next morning, they scale the peak, using essentially like grappling hooks. Very cool. Oh, nice. 24 episodes in 5 days. That's impressive, John. How'd you like it?
Really? Oh my goodness.
That's
wow.
solid.
Wow. Good for you. Yeah. Oh yeah. I love it. John. That's great.
But so they kind of scale the peak.
Great.
I laughed. It was funny to me because they're all scaling this this cliff, this peak, and it's just funny to me because Paz Vizsla, he's a big boy, and then he's got like this giant, he's giant blaster.
Jetpack.
Everything about him is not built for climbing a mountain peak.
It's Texas sized. All of his equipment is Texas sized.
And so anyway, I was amused by watching him climb the peak along with everybody else. And so they make it up to the top, and there's this gigantic nest. They kind of gaze over the initial shot of you see them as they're coming over the top and looking into the nest. There's a helmet. There's a Mandalorian helmet in the nest, and so you're like, oh no. Which they did mention, others have been taken, and I was like, man, how have they not killed this bird already? This raptor. It's like it's apparently swooped in and grabbed other people and eating them for lunch.
Right.
How have we not addressed this problem yet? Was my thought. I feel like somebody needs to be like designated lookout, yeah, it's just apparently it's just common knowledge that others have been snatched by this raptor.
Right. So. You think Mandalorians really are letting their people be picked off by this raptor pterodactyl thing?
And so
what's the deal?
They're there.
Not the way. This is not the way.
They're kind of, Mando and Bo-Katan are both more cautious. They're there. Mando, uses the, feature his helmet to see the heat signatures. He says, oh, there's a heat signature over there. And so Paz Vizsla just bails off in there. Hey, welcome in, Pauline. Well, thanks for being here. So Paz Vizsla just kind of bails off in there, and reveals that this is his boy, so that we finally understand why he's been shown such an interest in this mission up to this point, outside of just fulfilling his duty as a Mandalorian.
Right.
So we figure out that this is his boy. He starts yelling for Ragnar, and it turns out the heat signatures are in fact not Ragnar. They are 3 little baby raptors. They're like these. They're what is it? I can't remember. Described like basically like rats with wings. Like they're just they're
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 yeah,
really ugly.
hairless, no
Yeah, little
feathers. Yeah,
look like
no,
baby birds essentially.
yeah, yeah.
It's anyway, they kind of jump at him and everything, and then the mama raptor shows up, and she regurgitates
Yeah.
Ragnar, kind of spits him up and is ready to feed him to the babies, and then they start fighting with the mama raptor, if you will, and so the Paz Vizsla, just jumps right in there, tries to launch himself up into the raptor's mouth, and then Ragnar gets dropped down to the raptor's feet, kind of caught in the claws there. It's being carried that way, and so we have yet another fight, fight flight scene, if you will.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so let's see.
And it's
here.
at this point that we find out for the first time that Ragnar is actually Paz Vizsla's son. This is where, because he finally tells bo-katan, is cautioning him about firing, and he says he's my son. So
I didn't know this next note that you included in the notes here. I did not realize this was the same actor.
Yes. That Paz Vizsla's son Ragnar is played by Wesley Kimmel, and I think we mentioned that in the the very first scene of season 3, that they this kid is the one who receives his helmet and takes the oath of the creed, but it's not revealed that he's Paz Vizsla's son.
Yeah, not at that time.
Wesley Kimmel is the same actor who played the young Tusken Raider in the Book of Boba Fett.
And he's actually the nephew, which, I mean, the Kimmel name, is pretty recognizable. He's actually the nephew of Jimmy Kimmel.
He is. So
pretty neat.
Yeah.
Pretty neat little.
Yeah, he did a really good job too in the Book of Boba Fett, playing the young Tusken Raider. So it's good to see him cast again in Mandalorian. That's cool. Yeah. Let's see. Back to the notes. So it's during the rescue then that Paz Vizsla reveals that Ragnar, the boy, is his son, and so we go, oh, okay, and it's a surprise to bo-katan too. I guess that's something that as Mandalorians, the other Mandalorians knew, but bo-katan didn't know, and we didn't know as viewers. We didn't know that yet. But at any rate, so they're fighting the big, pterodactyl raptor bird thing, and it scoops up Ragnar and tries to fly away. Bo-katan pursues with her jetpack, of course. This is a great scene, by the way. I love these scenes where they
aerial combat.
The aerial combat, exactly. They have to figure out, the whole fight scene and what happens. Bo-katan injures the pterodactyl. It's a really good fight, though. It's a good fight. They're
like trying to use like their basically like grappling hook cable to like try and wrap the bird up. Basically, keep it from flying. Because as long as it can keep flying, they have to keep chasing it. And so there's some really really neat acts of very heroic acts. Paz Vizsla gets knocked kind of jarred out of the mouth of the raptor, and then Mando knocks Ragnar out of the clutches of the raptor, and so
thanks, Tina.
It's really neat to see that they get the raptor all wrapped up in the cable, and it falls down into the water. Bo-katan stabs it in the eye with a knife, and they try a lot of different things to bring down this raptor. And so anyway, they finally get it all wrapped up with cable. It falls into the water, and there's this giant alligator creature that eats it. And immediately in my mind,
is that the same alligator creature that that we saw in the first
If not, it
episode
could be
of
same
season 2?
species. If it's not the exact same one, because it got blasted by the Naboo N1 starfighter that that Mando flies.
That's right. So he killed that one. Maybe this one is a relative.
So anyway, the first thing I thought,
maybe it survived. You know,
I don't know.
Star Wars characters have been known to survive blaster
good grief.
fire and, you know, lightsabers to the chest, the whole bit, you know, falling from great heights. So it's possible it survived. Just saying.
And so it's, you know, I laughed whenever I saw it eaten by this other creature, because the first thing that popped in my head was Qui-Gon. You know, there's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish. Exactly.
So anyway, it gets eaten. Bo-Katan's ship, you know, they all get loaded up. They fly back to the covert beach. You know, and they're, you know, the rest of them are all kind of wondering how the mission went. And, you know, immediately the first ones to come off the ship are Ragnar and Paz Vizsla. And one thing that I think is really neat, you know, a lot of people talk about, and I thought about this. One thing I think is really neat with Mandalorians is, you know, typically with a group of people, you have, you know, just, you know, you clap your hands, applause, you know, and in hockey, they do stick taps because, again, they have gloved hands. You wouldn't be able to hear it really, you know, and so they do stick taps in hockey. Well, for Mandalorians, they clink together their gauntlets on their wrists. And I was like, that's really cool. Show celebration and joy.
It is cool.
The triumph. And so they all come off the ship.
If I had Beskar gauntlets, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
That is just too cool.
They all come off the ship, you know, and the armorer tells Bo-Katan, you know, you've done the highest, you know, you've performed the highest duty of you know, of the covert to save the life of a foundling. And so anyway,
rescued a foundling. Yeah.
So yeah, it was, you know, it's a really, really neat scene. Again, you know, we see Bo-Katan being further embraced by the covert, you know, further you know, gaining more and more trust with the other Mandalorians of the covert and the armorer, of course. And so yeah, there you go. Paul, that's neat. Oh, my computer keeps going to sleep, and so I have to keep bringing the notes back up. So I'll kick it back over to you, Mom, with them exiting the ship. And
yeah, so you know, so they, let's see, let me get to my notes. Let me find it. So you know, the armorer tells Bo-Katan, you know, you have done the highest honor of the creed, saving a foundling. And Bo-Katan says, this is the way.
Yeah.
And she says, we have brought you 3 more foundlings in need of care and training. And, you know, the armorer is curious and says, really, you have? And so from the ship, they unload these 3 gigantic pterodactyl raptor bird things, the chicks that were in the nest. Oh my gosh. It is so funny. And let's see, was it Jonathan who said, John says, when they take them off the craft, I'm thinking, are they going to eat them or raise?
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
And they're just these ugly little,
good, John.
You know, things. It's really funny. But they couldn't leave them in the nest because you know their mama is gone. So I don't know. William has his.
I do have a hypothesis and a potential theory. I need to go back and review the footage, but I do think that at least one of these, I might know what happened to it.
Came to pass.
We'll wait and see in a future episode. Whether or not I'm correct. You know, again, I have to look at the scene a little bit closer, but I think I might know what happened to one of them.
So
the
armorer notices that Bo-Katan is.
She's missing a pauldron.
She's missing a what?
A pauldron.
Yes, a pauldron. There we go. So she requests she says, I say that have some armor missing there. And so they go in, and the armor is in the process of making a pauldron for her, which is the shoulder plate. And bo-katan, she asks her, do you want it to be a night owl? Which is the night owl is the symbol that's on bo-katan's
she has it on her other shoulder plate.
She does. And so she says, well, she gives it some thought, and she looks over, and there's, this Mandalorian, or this mythosaur replica, I guess, of a mythosaur skull on the wall. And she thinks about it. She thinks back to the fact that she's actually seen a live one. And she says, could I have one night owl and one mythosaur? Which is just a really cool, I love the symbolism of their mythosaur and their signet, which is the mud horn, the night owl, and their signet. The armor, says, well, the mythosaur is always appropriate because it belongs to all Mandalorians. And so while she's working on the two shoulder plates, what did you call it, William? I didn't make a note of that.
Pauldron.
Pauldron, yes. Bo-Katan asks her, she says, what would you say if I told you that I saw a mythosaur? And the armor is thinking, well, she saw it in a vision, or if you walk the way of the Mandalore, you will see many things. And she says, no, it was real. And the armor is, you can tell she's thinking about this. I love the way the actors have to convey their emotions through body actions, body language, because their faces are covered, and they've gotten quite good at doing that. But so it's so now bo-katan has told somebody that she saw, and it's appropriate that it be the armor. She hasn't told. Now, keep in mind that she hasn't revealed that to anybody. She didn't even tell Mando. She's just been kind of thinking about it and turning it over in her mind, and she decides to tell the armor that she saw a mythosaur, which is entirely appropriate, and comes into play later on in the series. So really cool scenes there from the armor, making the pauldrons for replacement pauldrons for the ones that bo-katan lost in combat while rescuing this foundling, and also the rondelle with the mud horn signet on it for Grogu. So we see a lot of good stuff there at the and a good dialogue at the
for sure. That pretty much wraps this episode. Is this 7.7 out of 10? Is this still applicable to this episode as well?
Yes, it is. Right. It is. Yeah. It is.
Short runtime, especially once you take, however much time out for the credits and everything. But, that's the thing with the Mandalorian. They tell the story they want to tell, and then they'll end the episode.
That's done.
They're not interested in wasting your time. So they they tell a story they want to tell each week, and then they end the episode.
They wrap it up. They do. Yeah, they do. The forge. That's the word I was trying to come
forge.
Sorry, I kept wanting to say the still.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's the hillbilly in me. It's not a still, it's a forge.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
pauldrons, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just kind of thoughts on this episode. Bo-Katan's settling in with the covert.
I think and being placed in a position of leadership where even Paz Vizsla, who is an alpha male, obviously within this covert, recognizes her leadership, and submits to her as the war party leader. So that's big. That's big. And so, you know, I Bo-Katan has stumbled and fallen. She's done, you know, things that she wished she hadn't done.
Yeah.
She's made some mistakes. But you know what? If you're a good leader, every good leader does that, because you're in a position of leadership and you have to make decisions, you know, spur of the moment. And many times you do make a bad decision.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that she is her own worst critic.
And along those lines, there's a really neat line from Mando that we'll hear later in the series related to Bo-Katan.
Yes. Yes.
Which we'll discuss that in a future episode.
Yes. Yeah, I would love to get into that because it's such a great scene. But she, you know, I think one reason, guys, that Bo-Katan's despair is so deep is because her betrayal involved her sister, Duchess Satine. And I think that really is at the root of what's hurting her heart and what's causing her to be so upset. And her faith is being restored slowly but surely. You know, the faith of the that's true, Tina. Most good leaders are their own worst critics.
Yeah,
that is very true, because they, you know, good leaders examine their actions. They examine themselves, a lot of you know, introspection to be sure that if they're good leaders, you know, to be sure that what they're doing is best for their, you know, their people, their followers, their employees, you know, whatever leadership situation you're in, you want to do what's best for your organization, whatever it may be. And so she is upset because not only does she feel like she let her people down, but she let her sister down, which is, you know, on a more personal level. And we'll go into that. Let's see. I'm going to put BK background. We may try to go into just a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good dive, guys, to go into Bo-Katan's background just a little bit. And for Mirage, you know, some of you may not have watched Rebels and the Clone Wars, so I think that would be a really good thing to do, especially in light of what's coming up in this series.
Yeah,
so,
agreed. Do we want to go ahead and jump into channel news? Any other thoughts?
Sure. I don't know of anything else. I mean, we see that Bo-Katan is not only settling in with the covert, but she's now become, you know, a heroic leader in the rescue of Vizsla's son. And so they are very much working as one at this point. There is unity. So and that's going to really, you know, as Bo-Katan says, Mandalorians are stronger together. That's, you know, that is a Bo-Katan quote, and that will come into play more and more as we get to the season finale. So good stuff in this one, guys.
Yes. So if you haven't already, check out our Hit Tracker Chat live stream for Tuesday night. Mom reviewed the Walt Disney Company's 100th celebration in the park, some of the festivities related to that, as well as Animal Kingdom's 25th anniversary, the celebration. You know, showed some of the pictures that Jeff and Angela took from of Diz Our Dream took at that celebration, which took place on Earth Day on the 22nd.
Sure did.
So this week we talked about chapter 20, which was, I think I lost the title. What was the title again?
The Foundling.
The Foundling.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week it'll be episode 5 of season 3, chapter 21, which is entitled The Pirate. So we'll be going live again, you know, next week, 12 o'clock p.m. Central, 1 o'clock Eastern. You know, and also too, we go live every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Central, 10 o'clock Eastern for a Hitchhiker Chat talking about Disney news. And so, if you haven't already, you know, make sure to subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when we go live or upload a new video. Let's see here. We've talked about every episode up to this point, Book of Boba Fett, and then also previous episodes and seasons of The Mandalorian as well. I need to go back and watch Andor yet. Yes, I have not done that yet. I need to check out Andor, but Mom's already watched it and thoroughly enjoyed it. I just hadn't got to it yet.
Oh, let me give that link to our playlist again, guys. It kind of cut it off there.
Yeah. Let's see here. Check us out on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to reach out to us, you can send us a direct message on Instagram or email us at thehitchhiking.bones@gmail.com. Anything else you wanted to mention, Mom?
I can't think of anything, guys. We have considered this just quickly. We have thought about maybe the small, it's like a 98-piece set. And as you can see, this is the Mandalorian and the Razor Crest. Now, I am not an accomplished Lego builder, so this would be, but this is a small one. I have done it with my granddaughter's assembled some, but this is only 98 pieces. William also has one that would be a lot of fun. I thought we could do like a side-by-side build sometime of these. It would just be a lot of fun. We could just do a hangout and build these. So we'll see if we've got time to do that. But I love this. This is the Razor Crest. I think I also bought the Millennium Falcon. Neat. So if you want to do that, William, we can coordinate that. Would be fun. You have time. I would love to try it. I would like to get to be a more skilled Lego builder. So, so we'll try it.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Anything else you want to mention?
Can't think. Let's see. I guess that's all we have in the notes. Y'all, thanks so much for joining us. Yeah. Our team replay, Lisa, Keith, and Joey, captains of our team replay, hashtag Joey Rocks. We appreciate y'all watching and everybody who, is watching on the replay. We very much appreciate spending some time with you and love this content. I think that that's pretty obvious because we just enjoy this and taking those deep
moderators,
dives.
Also those watching in Ninja, Ghost Mode, those on Team Replay. Thanks everybody.
So much for doing that, and join us next week. Same Mando time, same Mando channel for more of the Mandalorian. Yep,
this is the way we have spoken. Remember, at the Hitchhiking Bones YouTube channel, there's always room for one more. So please
hurry back.
Bye, everybody. May the Force be with you. Always.
May the Force be with you. Absolutely. Always.
Have a great week, y'all.